talk to you a little bit about rental houses, Section 8 houses. A lot of people don't know this, but if you actually pull a permit like you're supposed to in most cities to get a renter in your property, there's certain things that the city is going to require in order for that to pass code, in order for the city to say, okay, this house is okay and acceptable for a tenant to live in. And here's a quick list of things that we run into all the time that people don't know about that the house needs before you should rent it out. Now, every city is different. Every municipality is different. You have to call the city, talk to the Section 8 people. They know the most as far as what do I need to do to have a Section 8 tenant. That's going to be the same as what you need to do to have a normal tenant most of the time. It's very common that on a smoke detector you can't put battery installed smoke detectors in or battery operated smoke detectors in. Most of the time on a rental property you're going to have to hardwire the smoke detector and have a battery assist. So the theory is if the power goes out and the house burns down, then the battery assist will kick on. But if the batteries go out, then they won't have a smoke detector at all, and they're trying to protect the tenant, so they want you to hardwire it so that way the batteries never go out. If the power goes out, you have a battery backup assist. So you typically need a hardwire smoke detector and have it battery operated. A lot of times in a rental inspection, when the city comes out to inspect the property, they're going to test the smoke detector without power, make sure that your batteries are functional, and you'll fail if your batteries are not functional, which probably would mean your smoke detector is beeping, but that is a test that they do when they come out to inspect for tenants. I didn't know about this next one, and it seems that you should not need it, but in your front door you need a peephole in order to see out. Some cities require a peephole in your back door, and some cities require a peephole in any door that locks, such as sometimes between your garage door or your garage and your common area, you need a peephole into your garage. Make sure that when you install the peephole, you don't install it backwards, because that will make somebody really small on the other side, and you want to be able to see who you're talking to. This next one probably seems obvious, but when you're rehabbing a house, sometimes you don't see stuff like this. Essentially, you can't have any trip hazards on the outside of your house. No trip hazards on the sidewalk, the driveway, or the walkway. So if you have a sidewalk and it drops down and there's a stair, sometimes you're going to have to level that out, even if it's like just a 1-inch drop, maybe from your walkway to your driveway. Sometimes they'll let you paint that yellow or orange, but most of the time they're going to want some sort of ramp or some sort of transition so somebody can't trip coming into the property. There are a lot of slumlords out there in the world that think that you don't need to have good living environments for your tenant. The city most of the time is going to think otherwise. Your AC does need to be working and your heat does need to be working in order to pass the code for rental permits. Also, when the city comes through to do an inspection, they're going to test every single outlet in the house, especially GFCIs. If you don't have GFCIs, ground fault circuit indicators, in your wet areas in your bathroom. So there's a couple of places you need them. You need them in your bathroom, you need them in your kitchen, sometimes you need them by your hot water heater, and sometimes you need them in the garage, depending upon the city. If you, just at the end of the day, you need functioning heat or functioning electrical all the way around your house. And this is particularly important on your electrical box. If your box isn't up to code, they won't give you the rental permit. Almost every city that we work with or that I know of is going to require at least one fire extinguisher in the property. Typically, they want that fire extinguisher placed underneath the kitchen sink or by the kitchen sink and accessible. It cannot be in a locked cabinet because the tenant needs to have access to it in order, if their house was to start on fire. It's also a powdered one, it's not a spray one, so they should be able to put out electrical fires and grease fires with it instead of, there's another type of extinguisher that is not the powder-based extinguisher that is a fire hazard. Like, it will actually blow the flame from grease up the wall and stuff like that. So it has to be a certain type of fire extinguisher, and then that fire extinguisher has to be renewed typically every 12 months. It has to be recharged or re-inspected, and you will fail an inspection on your next tenant if you don't do that. A lot of cities require that the tenant can lock their door from the inside of the house without having a key from the outside of the house. So there's what's called a partial deadbolt or a C-bolt. Essentially, it's a lock that you can lock on one side, but you cannot have a key on the other side. That's required on most rentals. Sometimes you can put a chain on there, like a safety chain. That doesn't always pass in all cities, and not all cities require this, but some do. The property is going to have to be Weather tight and water tight. Your roof can't be leaking, water can't be seeping in from your doors, and you need weather stripping on all your doors and all your windows if the windows are set up that way. If you have any way of moisture or animals or bugs can get in, you're going to fail your inspection. Your fence, it cannot be dilapidated, it can't be falling over, you can't have broken pickets, and any function of the fence that should be functioning, such as a gate, has to be functioning. If your gate only opens partial or it does not open and close from both sides, you have a latch on both sides to open and close it, or it does not latch, you're probably going to fail your inspection. And if you try to make it look like it's functional and it doesn't, they're probably going to figure it out and flag you and make you fix whatever's wrong with your fence. You're not allowed to have a leaking roof or missing any shingles on your roof. So even if your roof does not leak, you still have to patch, do a couple repairs and fix the spots where your shingles are missing. This one's crazy to me that they have an exception to it, but you cannot have wood rot on the exterior of your house. Now most cities are going to look at that as you can't have exposed wood rot. So if you have rotten wood and you paint it, a lot of times you can paint over the wood rot even though it's rotten and pass your inspection because they don't want any exposed wood rot. But if it is rotten and you paint over it, somehow, some way, they think that that's okay. If you have a pool, if you have a hot tub or a spa, it has to be in working order, working condition. It has to drain, fill up, and the chemicals have to be working along with the pump. Essentially, the city does not want you to have a trip hazard. They don't want you to have a hole in the backyard where you could possibly fall in and get hurt or drowned. And they don't want it to be a cesspool for mosquitoes and bugs and that sort of thing. So if you do have the pool, the spa, or the hot tub, it needs to be functioning and in working order. If you had a spa and it was not functioning, instead of fixing it, you might possibly be able to remove it if you removed it properly. But that's a case by case per city. Again, there's a lot of slumlords out there that will rent anything to people willing to pay. And you're not allowed to have termites, you're not allowed to have rats, and you're not allowed to have any pests such as roaches. If you have any of those three, you will not pass the rental inspection almost across the board because the property needs to be sanitary, you can't have any slip hazards in it, and it can't have anything that would be detrimental to someone's health. And all three of those apparently are detrimental to someone's health. All windows and doors must properly open, close, and latch. Paint on the walls or the sheetrock on the walls, the ceiling, the window seal, they cannot be peeling at all. Like if you had prior termite damage and you try to paint over it and it was peeling, or you had prior water damage and it's peeling, you can't do that. This is because some houses still have lead-based paint in them, and they used to be painted with lead-based paint, and they don't want the possibility that that flakes off and, you know, grandma eats it or something like that. So if it's peeling, you need to repair or replace it. All the plumbing needs to be functional. All your faucets need to turn on, both your hot and your cold water. By the way, you cannot not have hot water in your property. You can't have just cold water run to your property. Apparently you need to offer somebody the option to have at least a small, short, warm shower or bath or whatever your house has. And then draining, all of your drains need to drain properly. And the way they test this is they turn all of your water on at the same time, including the washer if possible. So your washer's going, your dishwasher's going, your sink and your kitchen's going, both bathroom sinks are going and tubs are going. And if anything backs up in the drainage, then they're going to flag you. And I think they do like a 5-minute test on that. So all of that needs to be able to drain at the same time for about 5 minutes. That would be a good indication. If you did all that yourself and you didn't have any problems, you're probably going to pass. If you did that and you start having sewage come up in your drains, or you have a drainage problem, it's something that you should address on your property. My name is Ron Carlson. I'm with Renovation Gurus. I appreciate you taking time to watch all this information. I'm hoping that it benefits you in your investment world, that you are able to buy more houses, that you're wiser, smarter because of this education. Propelio Academy has a lot more videos. Continue to watch them, continue to educate yourself. If for some reason you want to contact me or you want to contact somebody on my team, feel free to reach us at renovationgurus.com. You can also call our 855 number. It's 855-99-GURUS. Gurus translated as 48787. So it'll be 855-99-48787, or you can reach us at admin@renovationgurus.com. If you have questions, if you need a bid, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for your time.